Alex's Journey into Awesomeness.
Hey, and welcome back to Journey into Awesomeness. I'm Alex, and today we're going to be continuing our limited series on The Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude by Ross Gay. And it's a long poem today, but it's a great one, and it's in honor to the fact that this is an episode I'm recording during the day, and look at what's happening here. This is my window, which is over there, providing the light source, and it's coming back onto the background that I use, and it's actually a sort of a beautiful picture of my microphone stand, the window, and there's a certain fascinating beauty to it, and it's a mistake, but it's a mistake worth exhibiting and worth checking out, so stand by for that. To the mistake. It is good to know a thing or two about that of which you speak, or even to be expert, which is not requisite, though. A thing or two is good, like the prop plane, I know, is going to land on the canvas roof of my friend's rickety Jeep, while the salutatorian to be sits in the back seat giddy with her new graphing calculator, and the driver says something, I think, about Arsenio Hall, and he sounds like a bunny in an echo chamber, but it's hard to hear with those propellers rolling above. And today I am lecturing on the miracle of the mistake in a poem. That hiccup or weird gifts that spirals or jettisons what's dull and landlocked into as yet untraveled cosmic, I overuse this metaphor with my students, grounds. I tell this to 105 give or take undergrads who mostly don't care and wrestle second to second by now bloodborne drive to check their beckoning phones, which mostly bless them they don't mistake. I say is a gift. But don't be afraid. See what it teaches you about what the poem can be, I know. Of what I speak like the two tabs of very potent, evidently acid, I dropped 4 hours before this reunion and graduation party of sorts. For we, the gifted and talented corn chips and Mr. Pibb, store-bought, cookies, the texture of which sunk me knee-deep in a desert. I imagine I looked something like an opaque cloud that day when Mr. and Mrs. Simoneski, our brainy hosts and teachers, guffawed in claymation the tremendous bead of spit bouncing on Mr. Simoneski's lip before a gust of air lifted it and it drifted to the coarse fabric of his beard, all the spiny hairs of which seemed to screech like critters, and no wonder I declined the invitation from the volleyball court. Although I was a phys ed major, and beneath the white arcs, the ball painted in the sky, my classmates Lisa and Eugene and Ick and Becky all looked a bit alien with craniums engorged slightly and spines compressed, if not even serpentine, their limbs flailing about wildly like cuttlefish, speaking only in polysyllabics, which must have made my breathy grunts all the more apish. Who knows where the poem will lead you? I tell them to go, to let go their reins, and listen to the tongue's half-wit. Brilliance, the corner of the mind made light by some accidental yoking of two impossibly joined things, one or two in the rear. I notice their eyes roll into the backs of their heads, and my plastic cup of root beer by now is spilling a bit, while Mr. Simoneski laughs like a hyena, plunging his face into a ruptured gut. And nothing has ever been as clear to me as the bell that rang in my head that day. We were a 12-year experiment. the garden variety brainiacs from a suburban school, passable genetic mixture, forgettable location. Mr. Sims' oddly large eyes and his long reptilian tail now making sense, and the way someone with an electric can opener voice seemed always to be inside him, speaking when he spoke, now making sense as the night winds down and the last of the cake is served writhing with some fluorescent scrawl only I seem able to read, while all the good-natured kids whose fingernails are chewed raw and jaw pulse, who are so good, so very good, and soon will be hauled into the bottomless sky under which I stumble to see what direction they're coming from. And can I run? Man, that poem was challenging. Huh? What do you think about it? I goofed it up a little bit. But I hope you got some interesting things about the patter of it as we went along. Yeah. So, this poem feels like a mistake. Certainly, I made a lot of mistakes when reading it. That's why I'm not re-recording this. I want it to stand as such. There's a testament to shipping work out that is not perfect. And it gets back to the perfectionism of what we were talking about previously. Shipping work out that is not perfect. Getting work out there. This is another episode of this show. Journey into Awesomeness is continuing. And it continues through this medium, through this ability in the law of attraction of putting it out there, having an intention. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't know how it's going to end up. You don't know how people are going to take it. There's all kinds of things that are completely outside of your control as an artist, and yet, there it is. Another episode of Journey into Awesomeness. And with that, I leave you. See ya.